a ghost story or stories in conjunction with ghosts. Let's see, start this off. It's going to be a preamble. This may be a two-parter. If you people want to get sleepy, hop in that sack with old loser. There's a creepy idea. That's scary as any ghost. So, I was born in 1960. So what a time it was that I don't remember. I don't remember Kennedy being plugged and all the crap that boomers talk about. I'm technically a boomer, but no, I'll slap you if you call me a boomer. Nothing to do with that shit at all. That's for my older brothers who just, well, my oldest brother turned into a cultist for a weird church. And the two older ones just did a lot of drugs, did shitload of drugs. I was, when I was 8 or 9 or 10, drugs weren't around. Just you get used to families screaming at each other, drugs, amphetamines, downers, LSD, mounds of pot. That's back when you could buy a lid of cheap Mexican pot, which would get you stoned. Well, not you people, because you're doing dabs and really strong stuff, and you can't even feel the stuff anymore. But yeah, it got people high. So $10 for a lid, $15 for alleged Colombian or what other Hawaiian, or it was all just better grade of Mexican pot. In fact, I started smoking pot when I was 11, 1971. Thanks, older brothers. And that's when they started feeding me alcohol. It was just in my family. The booze was fine. That was just in my family, but the pot, it was okay unless we got caught, unless we got our pot confiscated, which happened a lot. My mom was a master at finding dope. I was just cleaning her room, the inside of my tape deck, mom, my typewriter. She enjoyed it. And the thrill of the hunt, we put up with it. And she didn't touch my porn. Not with tongs. Again, mom, just. By the time I was in my early teens, my parents had just given up on trying to raise children because, I had 3 older brothers and one younger one. The younger brother was turned into a drug fiend. He was a thief, a huge thief. He stole from me. He stole from mom. He was a burglar for a long time. He got caught a lot stealing cars. He used to alleged to have stolen over 200 Volkswagen bugs, and I believe him because those things were showing up everywhere. They were really easy to hotwire, and my brother and his friends would drive them till they ran out of gas and just leave them there. You'd get the car back eventually, but it wouldn't be the best of shape. My older brother stole my mom's car in 1981, and the car came back with weeds and wild oats and everything, inside of the frame and stuff. And oddly enough, I've been up all night with 2 girls who just drove to my house from elsewhere, actually from a public image show, and they're still on acid, and they decided to drop in at 2 in the morning. And I was staying at my mom's house. I was a loser. Came and went. I just tiptoe out of the house, go with them to a coffee shop. They were in their lesbian period, which, well, fine. It was 1980. Yeah, nobody cared. Now, this whole you know, sexual identity thing is so fucking old to me. It's hilarious. It's been going on forever. It was really more open then than it is now, and it was really more real. It was more interesting. Well, the people I knew were interesting. These people are artists of kind of the way we're artists now. I just realized that I'm getting a trace of that again. And it's something I really miss. So yeah, you guys are really making my life much, much, much better in my old age. Thank you for being. Some of you are really brilliant, and some of you are just funny, and all of you are cool and wonderful, and decent, loving human beings. Weird. I didn't think that was possible. But I know, but not the ghosties. Yeah, it's going to be a long story. Yeah, so I was born in 1960. Uh, my father, God rested his soul in purgatory. Thank you. Well, my mom got married in 1951 to my father. She was 15, he was 17. So guess what? Consenting at that point, and after they were married, legal. So, yeah, what are you going to do about that? It was a stupid idea. Mom's parents didn't like the idea, but my mom wasn't pregnant. I mean, she dropped a kid like exactly 9 months after we were married. Oh, just almost to the millisecond. So mom could say, no, I didn't get married because I was pregnant. She did because her parents, well, my grandmother was a devout, weird kind of Christian, and I don't know, they jumped around and spoke in tongues, and my grandmother, who I don't remember because she died before I was born, was fanatical. Nobody was. My mom wasn't allowed to dance or see movies until she was married. Do you wonder why she got married? She didn't see a movie until she was, God, 17. And the movie was Stog 17, which is still one of my favorite movies. I've watched it a million times, and mom had a good taste. Mom went on to turn into a James Dean fan. We've seen Rebel with the Cause a million times. And well, going to my father, who was a religious fanatic when my parents got married, but I mean, he's just wearing a suit and, you know preaching intense and crap. And, weird thing is, my mom let me read once, only once, the letters he'd written her before they were married and even after. And his handwriting was exactly like mine. His syntax was the same. My father was a genius, absolutely fucking genius. He could fix anything. He was too eloquent. He could lie and steal and get away with it. Everybody knew he was doing it, but they liked him. He was a raconteur. He was a fucking loser because he decided. Got the part of my coughing, smoking, and that live stream, which was fucking great. Kind of wore me out, but I promised people a ghost story in my own ambling way, and you're gonna get it because I'm a loyal loser. Anything for my colleagues, my friends, my new loved ones, my King Cobra family. We are all united for Cobra. Fucking strange, but true. Because we love the guy. We love the guy. If you don't love Cobra, well, I wonder what you're doing here. Even if you dismiss him, you still love him. Nah, we love that little bastard, I tell you. So anyhow, my father, well, He conked his head on a motorcycle. He's still brilliant, but he was different. Something changed. He became a biker, a one percenter. This is like 1952, 1953. This is shortly after the Hollister thing. My father knew them later on. My father and his gang of hooligans went to see The Wild One with Marlon Brando. By the way, if you haven't seen that movie, you got to fucking see it. It's pure style. Best thing that Brando ever did. Better than anything James Dean ever did, because James Dean was overrated, except in Rebel. That featured Jim Backus from Gilligan's Island, so it's got to be good. And yeah, a bunch of other really good young actors. Natalie Wood. And, oh God, what's his name escapes me, but he was a huge actor who died and was an easy writer. You'll figure it out because my brain is also damaged, but not from the motorcycle. Which is, well, I rode motorcycles in my teens. I was suicidal. I used to ride my bike at 125 miles an hour, dead drunk. But it was at 3 in the morning, so there was no traffic, and I would hope not, because I would just plowed into it and kill myself and anybody around. But I loved that. I felt alive, very alive. It's the only thing that helped me feel alive, and it wasn't adrenaline. It was peace, tranquility. I'll get to how my fear thing eventually, what it is, how to conquer it, how to laugh it in the face. I'm not joking. It can be done. I mean, I can teach people a lot of stuff that really shouldn't be taught, and not in a mystical sense. It's just when you have really severely autistic and you come from a family like mine, you're pretty bent. Ghosts are real. The world seem real. The world is. Anyway, back to my father. Yeah, it's in the Galloping Gooses. Looked it up. You know, L.A. Hack chapter. Absolutely bad men. The Hell's Angels aren't shit compared to these guys. And my father beat the crap out of Sonny Barger because Sonny Barger pinched my mom's ass. Didn't go over well. There was a Hell's Angels war. Well, it was a real honest to goodness biker war started by my father. Well, my father used to like to go to Venice, and he was a jazz freak. And you could see really, really good jazz in Venice Beach. And the Hells Angels wanted to own that property. You can't go to this beach because we're Hells Angels. And my father said, well, fuck you, I'll go anywhere I want to. He got a problem with, well, yeah, my father went back to Venice Beach, saw 5 angels, and he took out his 38 and shot them all dead, and he didn't get caught. Yeah, I had to look that up, and yeah, my father was a murderer. He may have killed more of the people. I don't know. He was fucking ape shit nuts. Also had a second family, a sister I didn't get a chance to meet because she died. I didn't get to meet my father's mother. I didn't know she was alive until well into my 20s, which is fucked up because she was supposed to be an amazing woman, but Mom made sure that we were separate from my father's side of the family, which is right. So I'm stuck with ghosts in that sense. I didn't get to know any of the mom's side of the family. My brothers knew them, but so there's a bridge because my younger brother was a stepbrother. So he had his own universe, and my brothers had my own universe, and I didn't get to have a universe. It was always, well, you don't remember. I'm sick of that dog shit. You know, everybody's nostalgia but my own. And yeah, I have my nostalgia here. I am never going to throw rocks for you not to experience it. I'd love to explain it, tell you about it. But you have your own gig. I got my own gig, and my gig is parallel to yours because I'm adaptable. I've been in so many subcultures and everything else, and I pick it up really fast. It's not hard. It's algebra. It's just fucking algebra. But I did it. So I did it. You don't like it? Well, you seem to like it. Some of you seem to like it. That's groovy. I love that. Makes me feel loved. Feelings. For me, it's fleeting. It's always been fleeting. But if I get a taste of it, and usually after the fact, so I'll relish it later. The women I've been in my life, they kind of understood that. Like, I love you. I don't love you right now, but I'll love you later when we're apart. So I was really good at writing letters, but it wasn't. It wasn't. I never been. So the women are a whole different can of spam. I was never a good boyfriend. I was never a good husband, but it takes two people to fuck up a relationship. And a lot of these women are really fairly normal, decent, law-abiding women, and I still will never know why they took up with me. I'd even warn some of them, like, you don't want to, okay, if you're, they'd explain, like, this is what I am, and this is how it's going to be, and I can't fix it for the life of me. I would love to, but so it goes. So it goes. So, anyway, my father, with all his weird stories, what I've heard in bits and pieces. Well, I got to go to my family reunion with my dad's dad, and I learned tons that all made sense to me because I was a lot like them. I looked like him. Everything about me reminded them of me. That's creepy because you're a ghost. I was my father in so many senses. I got to be him, and talk about ghosts. Which he's the ghost throughout all of this. Yes, I always had the sense that he was watching me and kind of keeping an eye on me. I think he kept me from being killed a bunch of times, and I should have been killed. And again, people always use that cliche, well, I should have been killed. I really should have been killed a lot. I mean, really. I bucked the odds. Kind of wanted to kill myself a bunch of times. I don't do that anymore. But I tried. I used to take my motorcycle up to a big bluff and just try to decide very logically if I could just ride it into this huge canyon that came so damn close. And it cheered me up. I was 17. I was suicidal when I was 9. I figured it out. Not anymore though, just cured. That's never coming back, and that was with me for most of my life. So, okay, ghost. All right, I always had that presence, and I think it was maybe 9 or 10. It was 4th of July. For some reason, I decided to take a bath while they were shooting out the tail end of the explosives, and I was in the bath and kind of okay, Father, if you're really around, if you're really keeping an eye on me, show me a sign. And then there was a sound from the bathtub, like a sledgehammer was at the bottom. And my family heard it. Mom would give them, Howard, you making all that noise? And I couldn't tell her. It's like, and how could I? I was in the bathtub. I didn't have a sledgehammer with me. And Mom just didn't get it. She's, oh, well. She already knew I was a really weird kid, and she understood it because my father was a really weird guy, and she caught that. There's nothing she could do about it. Oh, God, it's another one of them. And it was. I became a lot like him in some bad ways. Yeah. I was a fairly good kid, but I had a wicked side. Wicked end. I kept that in touch, but I hung out with a bunch of artists, teenage artists, and these kids were of the first water. I mean, did all kinds of basically Dadaism experiments, and there was a lot of interesting music around. Music I listened to was like Sparks and Kraftwerk and the Ramones and the Residents and just whatever. I used to buy a lot of records at the used record shop and the stuff that nobody else wanted to hear, and I loved it, and they loved it. And a lot of Alice Cooper, Ace, a lot of Alice Cooper. I was a Alice Cooper fanatic when I was 14, 15. Couldn't get enough. Got into Bowie a little later, and Bowie fanatic in the 70s. Just that ended in the 80s because I thought Bowie sucked at that point, and he did. But he was good. He was good. So good. So fucking good. So my father, apparitions. That didn't happen until into the 90s, early 90s. Well, actually earlier, called them very late 70s. Got together with my wife, and she was not born in Ireland, but very Irish and very spooky and very ghost conscious. And she wanted to hear all about what I knew about my father. And told her, when every time I talked to her about him, something would fall off the shelf, something would break, and it was not to work. It should never happen. There's no reason for this shit to happen. And she just said, "Your father is talking to you here. And apparently, he's not very happy with you right now. So would you please not do that in the kitchen because my stuff's going to get broken. Your stuff's in the living room. Break it over there." And it became a stock joke, but it was real. I mean, it was just people who came to visit to talk about my father and not fly, but fall, topple. My good God, you have a ghost in your place. Yeah, and I had one earlier because I lived in a weird little house up in a place called Lompico. Now that my friend Susie, she was around at that point. I'd known her for a lot of years. She was shacked up with an idiot named Edric, my housemate, landlord. Yeah. So I started talking about both of them stuff with right. Also, there was another ghost in the house. A guy named Frank. Edric knew him. I don't know if Susie did, but he was a hardcore heroin addict. Lived in that house with a whole bunch of bikers and shit. Turned out later, I got to know them later, and they come to that house and, "Oh yeah, Frank, if there's a ghost in this world, he's there." Frank jumped in front of a BART train because he caught the AIDS and he just wasn't going to deal with it. And I don't know, back then, yeah, it was pretty grim, but I don't believe in suicide unless it's me and I didn't do it. So, whatever. Take that for what you will. So shit. Frank decides he's going to provide cold spots in my house, but only for my friend transvestite Roy. It was spooky. I didn't get close to them. Yeah, it followed him around the house. And he had a weird habit of, if a woman was in the shower, Frank would stroke their backs. And Susie remembers that she'd be in the shower. And, "Frank, get out of here!" So I was dueling ghosts in the place. It's all pretty funny. It's all very true. And I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared. Other people who were around got a little freaked out about it. But they started believing in the ghosts. It's got a ghost in the house. And, also my Frank would knock over Roy's beers. I swear to God, he set them on the table for no reason at all. They pop over. That ghost was after Roy. It's funny as hell, Frank. It's a transvestite in the living room screaming at Frank the ghost. This is what my life was like. I've been doing a lot of drugs, a lot of booze, a lot of shitload of speed back then. And then I moved to the trailer park. Ghost, wife. Weird. Bikers. Yeah, it's like, suddenly I was hanging out with like outlaw bikers next door to me because I moved to the trailer park and they moved in and the party was on. I was at their house a lot to the wee hours every Friday. Wife didn't like it. If I forgot to bring my keys, I'd have to sleep with the bikers because wifey wasn't letting me in. She knew full well I was doing drugs, but I wouldn't let her because you don't want to feed a crazy woman speed. I mean, with the bikers, we just tell shit stories all night long, telling jokes. These are, yeah, they were Nazi bikers, but they were really funny people. And again, they weren't that. Weren't Nazis, except for one, Tattoo Chris. He really was. That guy was a crazy fucker. I loved him, but he was the one who gave me all my shitty tattoos, or most of them. Yeah, I used to get tattoos in their living room, in our kitchen. If Chris was around and somebody mentioned, I've always wanted to have a tattoo, I'd let feed them a couple of drinks. Okay, here, give me $35 and you're getting a tattoo. And what, right now? If you're going to be a tattoo jump, you're getting one right now. Otherwise, never use that word around me. And they get them. Yeah, so many people I knew were inked up. And this is before everybody was getting ink. Ink was for losers and people in the military and punk rockers. That was it. You know, now everybody gets them. I always want to take mine off because, God, this is supposed to be for losers. Stop stealing loser stuff. It's our universe, not yours. What's you appropriated something that was dear to me. Yeah, I'm still bitter about that. I mean, this whole dive bar thing. There's no such thing as a dive bar that's a good bar because it's a neighborhood bar, and that's where the old drunks would hang out. And those, I was older, but they were my people because I learned from them. They had stories. They had done things. They were great guys. They were friends, and they were drunks. They were drunks. Yeah, afternoon drunks, some morning drunks. If I had the chance, I was a morning drunk. I love being a morning drunk. Good God, that was the very best. Best times. Best times. Yeah. So I like being a drunk. And I learned a lot from it. People think that when I was drunk and my life was over until this bullshit. You just never had a life back then. You were an idiot. And yeah, you could sober up. And don't forget your fucking roots, boy. I ain't gonna like you. We're not gonna get along. Seriously. But ghosties. Moved up. Well, I moved in with my ex, who wasn't my ex back then. We lived in various places, and that my father came with us, knocked shit out over the house every time I start talking about him a little bit. Something would break, and so my ex would have to just don't talk about him anymore. Her daughter didn't believe me, and okay, Mark, prove it to me. Oh, here goes nothing. And I started talking, and something would fall on the counter. She was a believer. Something falling off the fridge that we weren't touching. Nobody was moving around. Something would topple off the fridge. So it was a rule: don't talk. Don't talk about your father anymore. I kind of enjoy this, but it's not scary. Once you get to know there's a ghost, and he gets grouchy when you talk to him about him. It was kind of a nice sign that somebody was keeping an eye on me. I think he was protecting me in a weird way. He kept me from dying. He didn't keep me away from doing rotten stuff. He kept me away from heroin. Every time I wanted to score heroin, and I really wanted to be a junkie, it would fall through. Oh, speed, sure. Cocaine, speed. I liked it. Mostly speed. I quit the needle and mostly snorted. So, and I never smoked it. It's like I hate smoking speed because it tasted nasty and the high was terrible. It was cocaine. Well, I like shooting cocaine, but I had a big cocaine period, but that vanished. And it didn't hang around with cocaine people anymore, and didn't really miss it. Shit, better part of I got to do the tabulation on how I did, how much I did speed, but 2 3 years, a lot every day, and I was working, warehouse gigs through all of it. So yeah, speed was different. You could work on it, wouldn't be a very good human being, and drinking on top of it. Weekends were a lot of fun. But at least I worked, so I couldn't do much of it. I would dunk it my coffee a lot, just bumpers, because I couldn't get by any other way. It's like you're not really addicted to speed or not the stuff I was doing. When you quit it, you just got tired and you fiend for it. That was psychological because you just never felt any energy. But that went away. Yeah. I don't think about it now, but for years, I was like, God, I wish I had some speed right now. I wish I had some speed right now. Because I loved staying up all night, mostly by myself. Just I had a lot of records, and I had a really good stereo set up and dual and air turntables and cassette tapes, and just farting around, splicing shit, and making it for my build friends. But my friends started demanding them, and they were expensive to make. And once I tried to sell them, they wouldn't take them. So fuck that. They didn't get any more tapes. That pissed me off. You want something for nothing? Hours? It took a long time, and I didn't do them. These are one-offs. So yeah, no, I got good tapes in a lot of my time, and people wanted. My wife wanted. Could you make a tape or such and such? Not me fucking well, but you make one. You would learn how to do it. So she never touched the stereo. Just play some music for me. God, I'm not a DJ, man. I spend half my time doing shit for you. I was doing the speed, so yeah. Need something to do all night, and I got tired of rearranging my room in weird places. That's what tweaking was back when. So ghosts. So yeah, ghost. And I was in Portland at that point, tail end of wifey. Well, we broke up so many times. I can't even give you a timeline. Started doing the professional metal polishing gig and just drinking my brains out, and everything gets kind of slurry. Just this is edging to my total breakdown, but that's a story for another universe. And all these stories they're parallel, so I will never run out of stories. I'm just giving you teasers. Yes, oh god. I had a life. I still have a life, but I had a life. Oh god. Yeah, it was not a safe, sane life. I haven't really touched my hobo stuff much. That's in the background, here or there, patching. Yeah, I live. Yeah, yeah. It's timeline. They're hard to build. I can kind of piece them up together when I think about it, but I'm not going to think about it right now. So anyway, I'm in Portland, and finally, my aunt, through another person, get in contact with me. It's like, are you such and such? Well, yeah. Are you so and so's son? Absolutely. Oh, and we text around with people, or my relatives. One of them is still very dear to me. My cousin Christine is a lovely, wonderful, brilliant, amazing woman, and she and I are so much alike. And we really. One quick story. I got a lot of them. Well, a family reunion was planned, and unbeknownst to me, it was basically bait for me to meet my aunt. That was it. And, the big deal. Pavilions and shit. And these people didn't have a lot of money, but there were barbecues. We're all a bunch of drunks, so there was mountains of beer. Yeah, beer. Well, we took over a bar, and it's a small ass town in the middle of Oregon. Well, actually close to the border, but it's the grain belt, nowhere. Alfalfa in this tiny town. I think it was population 250. We took over the bar. All our relatives. We took over with our presence. It was fucking crazy. My entire family is batshit nuts in a very good way. And I was like, that princess, or the prince. And my cousin was the princess. I still call her princess. It's a long gag. And the grandmother I didn't know was a huge topic. Her name was Bama. She was a first force of nature. That's a separate chapter of people I didn't know but know a lot about, and part of my family ghost history. Because gotta remember, when I was born, everybody was dying. Grandfather died. I was born after one of my brothers died, crib death, and that was a specter. I was almost got my middle name from him. Didn't. It was a great name too. I'm not going to tell you because that's personal. So a little specter of him, but not much. But it got talked about too much, and my mom would get very sad and weepy about it. And mommy, it's like I made her a mess. And one of her older brothers, who she didn't name, fell in a reservoir and drowned. And that spooked my mom out. She didn't know the guy, but she was pretty much deathly afraid of water. Her parents were like, "Don't go near the water, you'll die." And yeah, she made sure we learned to swim when we got a swimming pool. We were at the Y learning to swim, learn to swim well enough to not drown. So a family reunion happens. I think I'm skipping over stuff, but whatever. I'm there. It's like, I actually didn't want to go. I dodged. I talked to my mom about it. I'm like, really, what do I want to hang out with people? My mom finally let loose with stories that she really liked my father's family, but not the mother, and she just wanted to get away from my father's biker past as well. He abused her terribly and cheated, and ended up going to jail. And it turns out when I went to jail, it was the same jail my father had been in. Oh yeah, we saw you. Your father was there. Talk to her on the phone. Every time I went to jail, I call my mom after mom because I got the free phone call and just chat with her. I didn't want to get out of jail. A couple times I got bailed out when it was an emergency, but then after that, why get bailed out? They'll let you out eventually. It saves you money. I don't care. I have nothing better to do. It's a rule. Yeah, I go to jail. LA County Jail. Add to another layer of PTSD because that place was awful, and that's another chapter of loserdom, horror story. But yeah, it's worth hearing because it's good to know about jail, even if you never go there. It's good. It's another universe. It makes you less afraid once you know about it. It just that's how that works. Oh, I didn't know. Prisoners really are because once you that's so well, there are homeless people and there are hobos and the tramps and there are losers, different tribes, and people are definitely afraid of homeless people, but they're also afraid of people who are really can be beneficial. Some of them, well, scary people, but you don't want to lump people up. You're missing out on some pretty great stuff. Learning experience. I'll tell you how to not be afraid of homeless people anymore and how to protect yourself. I can give you that. I'm an expert. Boy, I'm an expert. Oh God, am I an expert? And I know that sociology. I know I know it all because I lived it and I studied it. And I study stuff as I go along because if you don't study, you don't learn. You don't learn, you live in terror and you live in ignorance. Back, I have no use for that. I don't like that. Uh-uh. I taught myself how to study everything. It gets annoying, and there's even another story involved with my completely breakdown, which that's part of, and also my avant-garde writing career, and I'll go into that some other time, and just ways to go crazier than you probably already are. But reunion, yeah, I get there, and blah blah blah. It's like, oh great, drink, great, getting to know some really cool people. I'm having the best time ever. And then out of nowhere, we get a lightning storm. And we all know perfectly well that my father brought it. Everybody had that distinct knowledge. Like, oh my God, he's here. And he was saying goodbye to me. He was just he wanted my life to lead that chapter, to get there. So my father would know me. I got to hear all the stories and the good part of him because a lot of it was bad. He was a bad man, but he was also really, in his own way, a genius, and parts of it were very good. And I took that to heart that nobody's entirely bad. Some people are leaning that way and leaning the other way, but also if you don't get to know this varieties of people, you don't get to learn about a bunch of stuff about you and fear and this and that. And yeah, it's a hard life, but you can benefit from my hard life. You know, you take chunks of it and apply it to yourself. You're welcome. Because everything's related to everything else. And you just find the threads in your own head and kind of map it out in your own brain. This can be done. Anybody can do it. It won't help you with crazy, but it'll help you understand crazy and how to live with crazy because ain't nothing's going to cure that. It's not going to go away. Therapy can help you for about 2 years. After that, you're wasting your time, you're wasting their time, and you're just, I don't know, feeling sorry for yourself, which there's no percentage in that. Even that therapy, I met a very good therapist, a wonderful woman, little tiny Vietnamese woman. And she was born in Vietnam, peasants and whatnot. She was brought to America and, became Americanized to the hilt, to a degree. I mean, before I met her, I had read probably 2,000 pages about Vietnamese history, not the stupid war, the history, because they're very interesting and wonderful people. Their take on this, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, the communism didn't quite kill it, but they really tried. That was from China. Yeah, everything about China. I'm sorry if it sounds xenophobic, but everything from mainland China. There's no good coming out of that shit. Really, it is. That system has corrupted everyone. If you get out early and you're very young, you're probably going to do okay. But other than that, it's not my culture. You're allowed to not like cultures. Not in a racist time. I just don't like the culture. I have no affinity for it. I can love them anyway, but I don't really need to absorb that. I'm not afraid of it. Little pieces I come across are great, but it ain't my culture. I have an affinity for Vietnam. I understand the spiritual side of the Vietnamese and their histories and their struggles, and they're the ones who imported Buddhism from Vietnam, though from China, in a pure form, and the Chinese never really got it, and the Japanese made it precious. It's the whole vitality, the way they treated women was outstanding. Women were held in regard in some ways. It was matriarchal, also patriarchal at the same time, and yin yang and all that stuff. It really was very true and wonderful. And I'm a Catholic, and actually, the Vietnamese really had an affinity for Catholicism. The whole mindset, very, very, very similar. Unfortunately, the Chinese screwed that up. Well, communism is horrible. There's no such thing as good communism. I'm sorry. Get a, no, it's vile, vile. I'm actually very much a Catholic social democrat. There are a lot of us. We're more radicalized than socialists, and it's different but the same. And it's more studious. It's more, one word I can't pronounce. Distributism. Yeah, it's a Chinese or a French invention that's really great, but it's radicalized. But not in a bomb throwing way. There are there are communal aspects, but not really. It's more like a modified feudalism in a good way. Believe it or not, that actually works very well. It may be the future if we have a future, because cultures are going to break down and isolate into much smaller units and less materialistic, but not in the hokey, you know, let's start a commune and, you know, be a bunch of hippies. No, that it just becomes very cliquish and awful. It brings out the worst side of people. Guaranteed. It's not a good thing. It's a very bad, naughty thing. Don't do that at home, kids. And that old slab city thing, discount that. There's a lot of stuff you discount because it just isn't, it's not going to expand your mind at all. It's, yeah, I could go on that at length, and I probably will. Yeah. Mindsets really need to modify themselves. It's up to you. I mean, if you get into just a cliche ridden, you got to figure it out yourself and find kindred spirits who are actually smart and creative and don't want to live in a nest of cliches. It can be done. It's a lot of work. So, yeah. Didn't work for me because I'm a loner. I like being able to get away from stuff. I like to think my own thoughts. I like to share my own thoughts with other people, and if they don't agree, but if you're cool people, yeah, I'll see that and look for a common ground. And you can always find that with anybody. You can find that, and that's where the treasure is. Common ground, not socioeconomic brainwashing. And there's a lot of that going on, and people like you, I can tell, are defying that. Just I can tell. It's like you guys are great. Not a problem for me. But yeah, after the lightning storm, my father went away. He went away. No ghosts. No ghost free. No more ghosts. In my conversion, ghosts have to go away. Demons, you fight demons, and they're real, but you can fight them. Evil is a commodity you guard against and deal with, and not be afraid of anymore. You know it for what it is. A substance that inhabits people. There are demons. Demons are real. Demons will fuck with you. They'll try to get at you, and you can. Anybody can fight that. It's not completely. Well, with Catholicism, some atheists go straight to heaven. Some believers end up in purgatory. It's a pretty. It's once you get into the nuts and bolts of Catholicism, there's room for everyone in the church, but not for everybody who's outside of the church. And yeah, the priests have been very bad, and for centuries that's been screwed up. But however, the monastic tradition lives on. The other people ignore, the people who are really living for prayer and for charity. That's always been going on. That's always probably the most vital aspect of the church. If you forget that, you don't know anything about the church. And most people don't know a damn thing about it. It's very sad, but you don't have to. Probably not important to you. You know, and if you want to learn about it, well, it's a hard thing to learn. Yeah, I had it close to 2 years before I converted, and that nun, Sister Betty, gosh, oh, she was hard but compassionate.